Welcome everybody for the first meeting of 2023. So I wish you all a happy new year and that we release JupyterLab 4 this year. Yeah. We'll see. So I was looking at 3.6 first. That's my first point. I don't think there is anything blocking a release candidate. So if somebody knows about it, they can just raise their hand. Otherwise, I will cut the release candidate for 3.6 tomorrow, meaning that if there are no outstanding trouble, the final release is expected to be within 10 days or something like that. There is only one issue. That is, I cannot say left. It's something that Mike has reported. Is that if you are installing JupyterLab and if you are starting it through Notebook v6 with the command I've passed here, is one of the tests that we are doing actually. It is not working. Because the Jupyter Server v2 handlers that we are using are gonna make Notebook, the classical Notebook, unhappy. So it works if you just run Jupyter Notebook, or just JupyterLab is just not working if you run Jupyter Notebook and then try to go to the lab website. And it's due to Server v2 because if you force to install the version v1, then it's gonna be working. And that error is already, you can get that error already for 3.5 that allows to install Jupyter Server 2. So I must say I'm a bit lost of what's the best solution we should take for that corner case. So yeah, if somebody has any idea, yeah, be appreciated. And other than that, if nobody has any comment right now, we should start to look at JupyterLab 4. I think as it's very early this year, maybe we can start next week. Just a reminder, there is a GitHub project. I try to update it with some main issue that I know of that have API changes that need to be addressed before starting betas.
Yes, please.
But basically,
Thank you.
These two, there's two items that I know of. One that I've started is to just change a bit the CodeMirror 6 migration to use tokens. So to give a bit more context, before CodeMirror 5 was using a global object. And so if you want to register new language support, you had to go through a global object that was called a global namespace that was called mode. But now with CodeMirror 6, we don't need to do that any longer, and we can leverage the token system from Rimino. So that's what the PR is about. So basically, if a user or a third-party developers want to add a new language to CodeMirror 6, then he can just request the token to register a new language, or if he wants to register a team, he can also request a token for adding a CodeMirror 6 team. And I'm trying also to create one token for being able to inject new extension to the editor too. And the other main API breaking change is linked to RTC. So Carlos did his work a lot on that front in December and November. He proposed to actually use the Drive API for placing RTC under it. That's probably the best solution to fulfill the API that was in place since the beginning of JupyterLab. It will also allows to extract actually the RTC features from core and to allow it to be conditionally installed by the user, a bit like what people can do with VS Code, that you need to install the extension LiveShare to be able to set up a collaborative session. So the data storage will still be YGS, so that we can, the basic data storage in JupyterLab is something that's compatible with real-time collaboration, but the ability of having multiple clients connected to the same server will be separated. Yeah, and that's all for me.
Thank you for all the updates.
Thanks, Isabella.
Like really though, staying on top of everything is really difficult. I find it very helpful that you kind of know and present it.
So I don't know if anybody has additional point.
I can ask something related to the 3.6 release, if that's relevant.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I don't remember how many months ago it was. Mike was interested in doing like a survey per release. We were originally talking for major releases, but I know we have some question marks 2.4, so I'm kind of just being aware. So something I think he kind of wanted to know was to send out like, or to open up a survey when there were releases so that people could give feedback. I wasn't entirely sure how that is or isn't compatible with issues, and I don't think he's here today to explain it. So don't take my word for his probably very clever plan. But I think what I wanted to ask today was if there was feedback that was helpful for any of these releases, what kind of, questions or things would anyone here want to ask? And there may be nothing, maybe this is not something people want, but I don't think we've discussed it more widely. So happy to have people weigh in, like, yeah, if there's any helpful info that would be useful during release, or if it was like, oh, more direction for the next release, more others, and I can add it to the agenda. I was just thinking as you were talking, so open question to be answered whenever, not just now if you haven't thought about it.
Just writing some notes, but if somebody has ideas, just you can feel the silence.
And if it helps anyone think about it wider, a lot of the times when I have to start or when I do kind of feedback work, whether that's in survey form, whether that's in some kind of other like user research technique, usually ask myself kind of, what's the goal? And that's not a conversation I've been able to have with them yet. And so the goal of like, is the goal to understand, right, like who is immediately going for these releases? Is the goal to understand just, general feedback is a little tricky because it's a broad net, but like those kind of things. So even if there's just any goal that people have, that could be open. Let me look. I want to say it came up on an issue at one point, but is not its own issue. So I'll see if I can find a place for people to follow up if you have thoughts after. Thanks.
Thanks, Isabella. I have to say I have always trouble with survey because the question is also like, how do we do follow up with it? Because,
yes, that's very true.
Because they are interesting, but finding time to try to do things out of them, it's not, it's a tough business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So If nobody has comments or additional point, maybe we can stop the recording if somebody wants to add an additional point without recording it.
Sure, we ready for that? Going once, going twice. Okay, I'll stop it. And